evening and welcome to this week's programme. It looks bright and blue sky in the studio here, but it's not so great outside today, is it? It's grey, it's cold, and it's certainly very, very wet. So I hope you're tucked up inside in the warm with a nice cup of tea and maybe the fire on or a blanket over your feet and keeping warm. So, since last week, of course, American President Donald Trump has been tested and confirmed that he has got coronavirus. Mr. Trump is obviously well known for flouting the recommendations in terms of coronavirus, not wearing his mask when he should do, and social distancing. Perhaps this reinforces the importance of these simple measures, particularly as the UK rate is rising still. With around 7,000 new cases a day and 66 deaths. This is up from around 5,000 when we last spoke last week and 35 deaths a day. So despite the local lockdowns that have been put in place and control measures, the rate is still rising. And of course, we're heading towards the winter flu season as well. So yes, as in line with the national trend, Public Health Dorset data shows that in the Dorset area the rates are rising and things do not seem to be levelling off. So we need to remain vigilant as time goes on. So in other local news today, the weather has been bad, as you know, with very heavy rain, strong winds, battering Dorset over the last couple of days. Delays have been caused on the A35 Dorset bypass when the route became flooded and a van overturned. And the road was completely closed for some time yesterday. The arrival of Storm Alex, as it's known, has caused disruption across the country. There's been flooding in the car park at Billy Winters on the beach road, forcing the restaurant there to close as well. And in Swanage, some beach huts have been blown over as well. The weather remains unsettled, and we will hear the forecast towards the end of the programme of what the current week holds for us in terms of weather. Unfortunately, also in local news, another local shop has announced its closing on the 1st of November. The Weymouth Surf shop branded Animal is to close on the 1st of November. And trading obviously remains very tough for our local retail outlets on the high street, with many people purchasing what they can online. Also in local news, Volunteer Centre Dorset is looking for new volunteers to come forward and register to help support people who are struggling because of the coronavirus situation, and I guess also looking forward in case further restrictions are put in place in Dorset. If you would like to volunteer and would like to help Volunteer Centre Dorset supporting people who are struggling, pop along to their website at www.volunteeringdorset.org.uk or give them a telephone call on 01305 269 214 in office hours and ask to speak to Craig Womble. Dorset Police, in local news, have unveiled their new police boat, Buccaneer. A small launch was held by the Chief Constable and the Police and Crime Commissioner this week. The 11-metre rigid inflatable boat is used by the Force Support Group, a small specialist team of trained marine police officers to patrol Dorset's 98 miles of coastline. The boat, although it doesn't look too big, it weighs in at 5.5 tonnes and can carry 600 litres of fuel, which means it can travel up to 200 miles on one fuel tank at a top speed of 50 knots, which actually for a waterborne vessel is bombing along at a fair lick. So very good resource for Dorset Police in maintaining the security of our coastline, and it can take a maximum of 8 people on board. It's got the capability of going out in just about all weathers, day and night, and used to tackle criminality on the water alongside the partners that they work with, like Border Force, the Maritime Coast Guard Agency, HM Coast Guard, Royal Navy, RNLI, etc., etc. So that's a really good resource for everybody in Dorset. Also, another Dorset Police story. There was an incident in Weymouth Town Centre recently, and the police have published some CCTV pictures, which you can see on the screen, of 2 men that they would like to speak to. The victim of an attack by these 2 people was an 18-year-old man from Portland who was out with friends on the night of Thursday the 20th of August. So it is a while back, but they've only just managed to track this CCTV down and are now releasing it. So whilst you may not remember the event, maybe the faces or the images of these gentlemen actually ring a bell with you. If they do, Police Constable Rory Swindon of Weymouth Police would like to hear from you. You can contact Dorset Police on 101. You can email them at 101@dorset.pnn.police.uk. And alternatively, if you want to remain 100% anonymous, you can contact them via the independent charity Crime Stoppers on 0800 555 111. So if those pictures are familiar to you, do give Dorset Police a call, and they'll be pleased to hear from you. Our first main story tonight is about hedgehogs, and I've actually got a little hedgehog here with me in the studio. He's looking a very warm and sparkly hedgehog today. Those of you who know our family well will know that our garden's a very busy place for wildlife, with regular visitors in the front garden from badgers each night, up to 5 or 6 of them at a time. And in the back garden, over the last sort of 6 months, we've had a family of hedgehogs. So we have the badgers in the front garden and the hedgehogs in the back garden, and all sorts of other things coming through the gardens, as well as the usual birds and insects, etc. So I was really pleased to see this week that a local group are trying to stop the decline of hedgehogs. Hedgehogs are in a massive decline for several reasons, but one of the local groups are trying to stop the decline of hedgehogs, particularly from road accidents and road deaths. So we're going to hear about that now.
Cutouts of hedgehogs are appearing across Dorset in a bid to reduce the death rate of hedgehogs on our roads. Members of the Dorset Mammal Group have erected white ghost hedgehog silhouettes at roadsides where there have been hedgehog deaths caused by traffic, with the hopes of slowing vehicles down. So far, over 100 hedgehog cutouts have been erected across Dorset by members of the Dorset Mammal Group's Hedgehog Friendly Towns and Villages project. This initiative was first launched in August 2013, with Bridport becoming the first hedgehog-friendly town in the UK. Residents were encouraged to adopt a number of hedgehog-friendly activities in their gardens, including hedgehog access, not using slug pellets, leaving areas of rough ground for hedgehogs to forage, making log piles, taking extra care when using garden machinery and igniting bonfires, and offering water and food. The Mammal Society has estimated that the hedgehog population in Britain may have declined by as much as a staggering 73% in the last 20 years. Hedgehogs are now on the red list of endangered wild mammals and are categorised as vulnerable to extinction. Susie Varndell of the Dorset Mammal Group said, "One of the biggest threats to hedgehogs today is traffic. When a hedgehog senses danger, it simply rolls up into a ball, using its prickles for defence. A hedgehog will do this when hearing traffic approaching. The result, unfortunately, is a squashed hedgehog." The research study carried out in 2016 found that around 250,000 hedgehogs are killed on our roads annually in Britain. Susie said the aim of the Cutout or Ghost Hedgehog project is to raise awareness in local human populations of the hedgehog death hotspots. It's hoped that this initiative will make drivers more cautious in our towns and villages, and hopefully will catch on in other counties too, in order to help reduce the number of hedgehog road deaths across the country as a whole. In our area, Pimpen and Portland are the worst hit areas in the county last year, with the highest recorded rates of road deaths of hedgehogs. The Dorset Mammal Group has been fighting the hedgehog battle on many other fronts too. The group has been raising awareness by developing towns into hedgehog-friendly habitats, educating the public with talks and presentations, leaflets, media articles and radio interviews. The group heavily subsidised the training of 65 people in the Vale Wildlife Hospital course in hedgehog first aid, care and rehabilitation. As some of these carers are overwhelmed with poorly hedgehogs, the group is planning to develop a dedicated hedgehog hospital in Dorset to cope with the growing demand of referrals. If you're interested in the work of the Dorset Mammal Group and you'd like to know more, go to their website at www.dorsetmammalgroup.org.uk. Hedgehog Street is a campaign to promote the conservation of the native European hedgehog in British gardens. It was set up by the People's Trust for Endangered Species and the British Hedgehog Preservation Society. And here is their top tips on how to make your garden hedgehog friendly.
There we go. And I guess you're wondering what the ghost hedgehogs look like, because there wasn't actually one in that footage. And that's because the only picture I could find of a ghost hedgehog was in the Dorset Evening Echo. And knowing what local newspapers are like with their copyright, I thought I'd better not pinch their picture. So here we go. We had one made earlier. Here is our ghost hedgehog. Basically, it's a hedgehog cut out on a white piece of plastic or card on a stick, and they actually put these in the ground at the side of the road, and that warns you that this is a place where hedgehogs cross the road, and to take extra careful so we don't end up with a ghost hedgehog. So if we're going to look after our little friends here, look out for the ghost hedgehogs, and maybe you can make some ghost hedgehogs if you know there's a place near you where hedgehogs cross the road, and unfortunately some have not been successful at getting across the road. Then you can help the campaign as well. And say, if you want to look for that information online, do look at the video again and follow it up. But Hedgehog Street is the website with all the resources for hedgehogs. And we very much hope to get our webcams in the garden running again as we get into winter, both the badger cam in the front garden, and hopefully if we can get the hedgehogs to come down to the back door as they were most of the winter, we'll get the hedgehog cam going as well in the back garden. I should say I apologise, I'm a little bit confused with my script tonight. I usually print single-sided on the paper because it's easy. You read one side of the paper and then you put it down. And unfortunately, I printed double-sided, so you have to be careful that you've not turned the page over already, and it gets a bit more confusing. So if you're ever doing this thing, it's always best to do it single-sided. So if you thought I was a bit confused, that's why I'm just trying to check that I don't get myself lost in the script. Our second story tonight is about remembrance and thinking towards Remembrance Sunday. Obviously, in the next 3 months, we've got lots of things coming up. We've got Remembrance Sunday, we've got Advent and Christmas, and those sort of things coming up. And we don't know where we are with the coronavirus situation and the lockdown. So we're having to plan for all eventualities. Of course, the benefit this time round is that we've been through a period of lockdown. We know that it could potentially happen again, so we have got the ability to plan for things, whereas back in March it all happened over a couple of days. The churches were shut down, shops were shut down, tourist attractions were shut down, events were cancelled, and nobody planned for everything. We have got the ability to plan this time, and therefore, we know that we at the church in Wyke and other people are planning for things like Christmas, and to see how Christmas events can be done in a different way if we get more restrictions in place. So thinking in particular about Remembrance Sunday, which we know is very important for lots of people, remembering those that have laid down their lives for us in times of war. And I know it's something that the community in Wyke and Weymouth like to support by going out to the war memorials with their poppies. We started to think about what we could do if things weren't so easy around the time of Remembrance Sunday. So Janet Hall's been looking at this and has put some ideas together for us.
Now we're in October, the time of the British Legion Festival of Remembrance is coming near. It won't be the same this year with the ban on large gatherings, but it is more important than ever for us to wear our poppy with pride. For the poppy is a symbol of remembrance and hope, including hope for a positive future. And we certainly need to hold on to our hope right now when the coronavirus has disrupted our lives so much. The poppy really shows support for the armed forces community, those who are serving at the moment and their families, and a symbol of remembrance for all those who have fallen in conflict. John McCrae wrote the poem In Flanders Fields, which inspired the use of a poppy as a symbol of remembrance. In the spring of 1915, shortly after losing a friend in Ypres, a Canadian doctor, Lieutenant Colonel John McCrae, wrote his now famous poem after seeing the poppies growing in battle-scarred fields. In Flanders fields the poppies blow between the crosses, row on row, that mark our place. And in the sky the larks, still bravely singing, fly scarce heard amid the guns below. We are the dead. Short days ago we lived, felt dawn, saw sunset glow, loved and were loved, and now we lie in Flanders fields. Take up our quarrel with the foe, To you from failing hands we throw the torch. Be yours to hold it high. If ye break faith with us who die, we shall not sleep, though poppies grow in Flanders field. If we are going to take up that torch and bring hope to our communities in this very difficult year, we need a way of joining together even though we can't physically meet up. I thought it would be nice if everyone made a poppy of hope, cut it out and stuck it in their windows to show not only remembrance of past sacrifice, but hope for a future after this time of COVID. Carol and I are going to show you how to make one. It is very easy to draw on a piece of A4 paper, just a circle with 4 petals around it. Next, fill in the centre with some black paint. Now, with a white wax crayon, write the letters H-O-P-E in the petals. You won't be able to see them, but next take some red watercolour and paint over the top, and the letters will appear. When you've finished, cut out your poppy. You can stick it in your window, and everyone will feel hopeful for the future. Now, why don't you get to work? In the next few weeks, I hope to see poppies of hope in all the windows that I pass when walking in this area. Bye for now.
Thank you very much, Janet. And that's just a simple idea that everybody can join in, even those that are stuck at home and shielding still and not wanting to go out. Can join in and show their solidarity with the rest of the community and the remembrance of those who've laid down their lives at time of war. And of course that the Royal British Legion will be looking as well to see what they can do in these difficult times as well, and it'll be very important for them in particular to see how they can gather funds at this time. Of course, the Poppy Appeal is a major income stream for them, and like all other charities, if they're not able to gather that income, they won't be able to do all the good work with those people that they look after. So, you know, when you're making your poppy, do think to put some money aside if you're not able to buy a poppy this year. And we will look at ways that you can get that money to the Royal British Legion at Remembrance Time this year. So we are planning contingencies. And if there can't be services, we will operate services online and commemorations online so that there is something for the community at this time. So watch this space. We now come to that time in the programme where I get to play my dodgy jingle, the birthday jingle, and let's see if it behaves itself this week. Oh, there we go. It worked. It worked. One of these days I will invest in a new birthday jingle and surprise you. But this week we have one birthday, and we wish a very, very happy birthday to Gina Bolt, who's going to be celebrating her birthday this week. So a really happy birthday for you, Gina. I've got an idea it's Tuesday. I'm not 100% sure, but I think it might be Tuesday. Have a really nice time with your birthday this week. And don't forget, if you are celebrating a birthday or a wedding anniversary or something else special, do let us know so that we can give you a shout out next week or in a future week's programme. Our third story tonight follows a bit of a theme, I guess. I mean, we've talked about coronavirus, and with coronavirus, we know that a lot of research is going on to find a vaccine. And of course, when we get these problems, these health problems like coronavirus or flu or whatever, we have lots of very clever people, scientists and microbiologists, etc., that work on these things to get a vaccination or something to help us control and obviously make sure that we do not get affected by it so much. And one such person was Louis Pasteur, who 125 years ago this week died on the 28th of September 1895. This French biologist, microbiologist and chemist was one of the main founders in the field of medical microbiology. Best known for originating pasteurization of foodstuffs to eliminate all those microorganisms that cause disease, and of course milk that we have every day of the week. Most people have pasteurized milk. Pasteur also saved French beer, wine and silk industries and developed vaccines against anthrax and rabies. Maybe you didn't know all of that. Maybe you just knew about the pasteurization, but had a lot to do with beer, wine, silk, and of course anthrax and rabies, two very, very serious diseases. We have so much to be thankful for what Pasteur has given us some 125 years after he's died. So I thought it was appropriate that we marked that today.
Louis Pasteur discovered that microbes were responsible for souring alcohol and came up with the process of pasteurization, where bacteria are destroyed by heating beverages and then allowing them to cool. His work in germ theory also led him and his team to create vaccinations for anthrax and rabies. Louis Pasteur was born in 1822 in the Jura region of France. An average student, Pasteur was skilled at drawing and painting. He earned his Bachelor of Arts degree in 1840 and a Bachelor of Science degree in 1842 and a doctorate in 1847. Pasteur then spent several years researching and teaching. In 1848 he became a professor of chemistry at the University of Strasbourg, where he met Marie Laurent, the daughter of the university's rector. They wed on May the 29th, 1849, and had 5 children, though only 2 survived childhood. In 1854, Pasteur was appointed Professor of Chemistry and Dean of the Science Faculty at the University of Lille. There he worked on finding solutions to the problems with the manufacture of alcoholic drinks. Working with the germ theory, which Pasteur did not invent but further developed through experiments and eventually convinced most of Europe of its truth, he demonstrated that organisms such as bacteria were responsible for souring wine, beer, and even milk. He then invented a process where bacteria could be removed by boiling and then cooling liquid. He completed the first test on April the 20th, 1862. Today, the process is known as pasteurization and is used in milk products and other products that we use on a daily basis. Shifting focus in 1865, Pasteur helped save the silk industry. He proved that microbes were attacking healthy silkworm eggs, causing an unknown disease, and that the disease would be eliminated if the microbes were eliminated. He eventually developed a method to prevent their contamination, and it was soon used by silk producers throughout the world. Pasteur's first vaccine discovery was in 1879 with a disease called chicken cholera. After accidentally exposing chickens to the attenuated form of a culture, he demonstrated that they became resistant to the actual virus. Pasteur went on to extend his germ theory to develop causes and vaccinations for diseases such as anthrax, cholera, TB, and smallpox. In 1882, Pasteur decided to focus his efforts on the problem of rabies. On July 6, 1885, Pasteur vaccinated Joseph Meister, a 9-year-old boy who had been bitten by a rabid dog. The success of Pasteur's vaccine brought him immediate fame. This began an international fundraising campaign to build the Pasteur Institute in Paris, which was inaugurated on November 14, 1888. Pasteur had been partially paralysed since 1868 due to a severe brain stroke, but he was able to continue his research through to his death. All in all, this gifted French biologist, microbiologist and chemist well deserves the title of the father of microbiology and to be seen as one of the three main founders of bacteriology.
There we go. That's Louis Pasteur, who died 125 years ago, this week just gone. And we did talk about rabies. I think it was last week when we talked about Dorset having one of the I think the highest level of rabies found in bats. And so obviously we're very grateful to the work that Pasteur did on a vaccination for rabies, as well as anthrax and TB and smallpox and all the others. So quite a significant effect on the health of people today, all that work he did all those years ago. So, our fourth story tonight is that this Friday, just gone, I had to go off to the Noath Fort in Weymouth with my work hat on this time, and because we've been assisting them from a business point of view with training for their managers and some of their volunteers. I hadn't been to the fort for well over a year. And although I've visited many, many times on business, I've really not had a chance to look around other than, into the main offices and the main parade ground. So whilst I was there, although I wasn't there long, I did get the chance to delve a bit behind the facade of the fort and to look at some of the areas underneath. And in fact, I visited something I didn't even know existed, which was a Cold War nuclear bunker that is actually under the Noath Fort itself. What I did notice as I was there is that a lot of work has been done to make it a safe place to visit, with screens being installed, hand gel, social distancing marks, one-way systems, training for staff, and I know from personal experience that the team at the Noath are also updating their first aid and infection control skills and all those sort of things, because they want to make the Noath Fort available for visitors and they want to make it safe. If you've not been to the Noath Fort, or if you've not been inside, many of us have walked around the outside and looked at it from the outside, it's an absolutely fantastic place to visit. It's right on our doorstep, and even though it's on our doorstep, I'm sure many, many, many of us have not been through the portcullis, I guess you'd call it, as you go into the fort. And there are loads and loads of things to see, not just the building itself, but collections of wartime items and guns and uniforms, stirrup pumps. I saw there's loads of old-fashioned stirrup pumps that some of you will remember, old-fashioned sirens, all sorts of things there. And got a fantastic staff that know a lot about what's there. So it's well worth a visit. The Noath relies heavily on volunteers, and the volunteers are really the face of the Noath and do a fantastic job. And they could all do with our support at this time, which is, is difficult for everyone. So what we're going to do now is we're going to pop over to the Noath Fort to see what a visit might look like at the current time, just in case you're thinking of going, so you know how they're playing things at the moment.
Welcome back to the Noath Fort. We are open. We are safe.
Welcome to Noath Fort. We've made a lot of changes to make sure we're COVID safe. Let's go and have a look.
Hi, welcome to Noath Fort. Could you please use the hand sanitizer? And just wait here a moment while there's a ticket desk ready. Brilliant, you're ready to go in.
Thank you. One adult, please. The ticket I'm buying today will get me into the fort as many times as I want until the end of 2021. If you bought an annual pass last year, its expiry has been extended by 3 months. Let's go into the shop. This is Claire. Hello, Claire.
Hello.
We've got a new mouse desk here, and there's lots more mice hidden around the fort. Sprays a fine mist on your hands. Let's go to the toilets. We're having them cleaned a lot. Every hour they're going to be cleaned just to make sure they're extra safe. cleaning our handrails a lot more often as well, just to make sure they're safe too. Hello, Sophie. This is Sophie, our curator. Where are we going to go, Sophie?
You're going to go one way this way, sanitising your hands on the way through and watching out for giveaway signs.
Great, let's do that. Okay, let's go. And there's a new one-way system around the ramparts. Just follow the arrows. As an extra special treat, we've opened up the North Terrace. Come and have a look at it. We got some funding, which enabled us to do these new steps. And if we go all the way down to the bottom, there's some fantastic new pieces of art. This is the new North Terrace. These are the new benches. This is the new picnic area. And this is the way to the exit.
Welcome back to No Fort! Yay!
For more information, visit our website, nothefort.org.uk.
So there we go, that's the Noth Fort. I should also say that that video was done a few weeks ago, and now there is a requirement to wear masks as well, particularly on the inside areas at the Noth Fort. And what a fantastic offer they've got on at the moment, that if you buy a ticket now, that ticket will get you in until the end of 2021. So it's not just an annual pass, it's a year and a half or so. And if you bought an annual pass last year, that's rolled through as well. So they're trying to make themselves accessible and make sure they're value for money. So well worth a visit. Good for the family. It's a good family visit and good for the children as well. As well, while we're talking about the Noth Fort, let's talk about some of the other things that is happening with what's on. A lot of our other attractions are now starting to open up. Portland Castle again is open with similar sort of arrangements in place, and also Weymouth Sea Life Centre is open again now, also with precautions in place. We mentioned last week that the Noth has got quite a few things coming up. They've got the Southern Armour Group there tomorrow. This is a collection of military tanks and things, from model tanks to larger ones, and military vehicles. On the 1st of November, we've got the complete works of William Shakespeare at the Pavilion, which we mentioned last week. It is all 37 plays. Don't worry, it's an abridged version that's done in 97 minutes. So if you'd like to see what Shakespeare's like and you've not experienced Shakespeare before, I'd say it's a very good opportunity to get a taste of all 37 plays of Shakespeare's in 97 minutes. That's going to be quite popular, I think. So the pavilion is socially distanced, so there aren't the normal number of tickets. So, do buy early if you want to go. Also on the 2nd of November, we've got Strictly Come Dancing's Kevin and Joanne Clifton for an intimate show, socially distanced audience again. They're going to perform some of their dances, they're going to sing, tell stories, etc. Again, tickets are limited, so do check early and get your tickets early. Also, there's lots of other events coming up at both the Pavilion and the Noth Fort, so do check their websites to see what else is coming up. So, moving on in the week ahead, looking at the weather now. We've started doing a weather feature each week now. Not wishing to depress you, but the weather doesn't look too good. Certainly for this weekend, there are amber and yellow weather warnings out for very, very heavy rain. And in fact, I think over a 24-hour period, the possibility of getting 1 month's rainfall. So do be careful if you're going out. As far as the week ahead weather-wise, let's get our week ahead weather up. Press the right button, there we go. It looks as if winter started. It's obviously getting cooler. It's going to be windy, and it's going to be wet through Sunday to Monday, certainly. Although I note now on screen that the information has changed from when I wrote the script a little bit earlier. But it certainly is going to be wet through to Tuesday. Thursday, sort of Tuesday, Wednesday, are going to be the nicest days of the week, I think, and then Thursday, Friday is going to be wet as well, and then hopefully improve for the weekend. But I think with the wind that we've got and with the temperature we've got, that actually what we face for the whole week is a very, very changeable outlook. And actually that could be quite good, because what it does mean with the wind is that sometimes it clears the clouds on, and we do get periods where the clouds have gone and we do get some sunshine for a period of time. So let's hope we do get some of those sunny periods this week. Now moving on to traffic. This week I think it's going to be a bit chaotic in the town, if I'm honest. We've got the road closure in King Street on Monday through to Wednesday by the petrol station end, where they're going to start taking up the tram lines, the railway lines, as it crosses King Street. So there'll obviously be diversions in place, but you won't be able to drive up King Street, certainly for 3 days this week. And then from Wednesday onwards, the 7th of October through to the 13th of November, the removal of the lines down the rest of the quay, down Commercial Road towards the harbour and the quay, is happening. So there will be intermittent closures and control of traffic along Commercial Road and the quay. So I think we could face quite a bit of disruption and through until mid-November. Also, we mentioned at the start of the programme the flooding on the Dorchester bypass and the accident with the vehicle that turned over. Certainly earlier today there were still restrictions on the Dorchester bypass, and it was down to single lane traffic and possibly traffic lights there, although they may have gone now. So if you're up that way, just go careful with that. There could well be restrictions for a little while there. Still temporary traffic lights and roadworks at Cold Harbour between School Hill and Harbour Hill that will go on to the 30th of October if you're in the Chickwell area. We've got rail replacement services between Westbury and Bristol Temple Meads this weekend that will affect you if you're off on the train on the Bristol route. And also on the London route, there's a rail replacement, bus replacement service between Bournemouth and Poole for engineering works today and tomorrow. So if you're travelling on the trains, do be prepared to allow a little bit of extra time. Although these days, quite often, the bus replacement service works quite well. So finally, as we get to the end of our programme, remind you that this evening at 7:30 is our quiz evening. You're most welcome to join that. You don't have to be members of the church or the community. Just come along to the Facebook group or join it on YouTube and you'll be made most welcome. For those that are interested in the church services, tomorrow there's a church service in All Saints Church at 9:30 a.m, a communion service, and that will also be live streamed. There's also services on Tuesday evening at 5 o'clock, an evening service, and communion on Wednesday morning at 10:30. Finally, to say, if you have got any local news, stories or events or anything coming up that you want to share with us, please do get in touch. The details are on the top of the screen up there now, as you can see. Gary at parishofwhitecregis.org.uk or 01305 778169. Don't forget to go and make your hedgehog ghost thing. It'd be nice to see some of those popping up around about in the weeks ahead, and trying to protect some of our hedgehogs because let's say they are in danger. So until next week, same time, 6 o'clock Saturday, I'll bid you good night and maybe see some of you at the quiz or at the church service, or maybe get an email from you in the week. But look forward to seeing you again next week for our next version of Parish News.